Now, Book of Revelation has caused much controversy, and many people felt that this is where you must make your stand. But this book is a good news book, and it should remind the believers that God knows the true state of the church, and that He sees through all the facade, and He knows the heart. For all creation is by and for God. You are worthy, our Lord and God, to receive glory and honor and power. For you created all things, and by your will they were created and have their being. Even the church is God's creation, but everything else with it. Secondly, it teaches that God knows what will happen. God knows what's about to come, and He can announce it. Thirdly, this book teaches that different entities driven by evil will seek to control worshippers, to minimize, to stop worshippers, and to take them off course. There be a forceful effort. As the Bible puts it, He also forced everyone, small and great, and rich and poor, free and slave. Fourthly, it announces that God is totally faithful to His people, no matter what, and to His promise. He remains called the faithful and true. And He's always the ruler who rules with justice. And if He executes any judgment, it's because of His holiness. Fifthly, Revelation teaches the reader that God has sovereign power over all evil and any independence from God or anarchy. Earth, sky fled from His presence, and there was no place for them. He's awesome, fearfully wonderful. Sixthly, Revelation clearly teaches that God can and will recreate, if need be, heaven, earth. He can restore and will restore all things to Himself for eternity. It's not a problem to Him. Just like He rose our Lord from the dead, we can expect the resurrection of the dead. It's not a challenge to the Lord. And the return of Christ is imminent. In fact, the early church, the apostles, thought that Christ would come in their lifetime. And then when that didn't happen, some scoffers came along and said, look, He promised and He didn't deliver. And this book is a reminder that He will come, not too soon and not too late. Then I saw new heaven, new earth. The first heaven and the first earth had passed away. Jesus announced, I am making all things new. And what's important as we read this book is to remember that Jesus Himself announces, I am coming soon, my reward is with me, and I will give to each person according to what they have done. When the curtains of history as we know it will be drawn, Jesus will appear in all His sovereign resurrected power. And He would decide who is safe and who is not, who is covered and who is not. And the message of Revelation was written by a man in exile to encourage a persecuted church, a church that was pushed by a system and stretched in every way. And the encouragement was, don't lose your faith and your trust in God, for He is in charge of history and always will be, no matter what challenge there may arise. He is in control.